A very warm welcome, dear children, and from now onwards, I mean for a few weeks, that is from the week 27th onwards, we will do the revision work, right? So all the lessons that has already been taught to you in every subject will be revised. So since we are doing the animal kingdom, we just completed the animal kingdom in the previous class, I will revise this lesson once again, and then your classes would be in the form of a video and also in the form of a PDF. Right now, in that PDF, I would be sharing the question as well as the answers. So the question and answers that you get, you can do it in your notebook, and if you've already done those answers, then you can keep that PDF with you for reference. Right. So we will start with the animal kingdom, and the first topic that we did in the animal kingdom was animal construction. Right. So it says here, in spite of differences in the structure and form of different animals. When we look at the different animals, the structure is different, the form is different. There are fundamental features which are common to various individuals, right? So there are certain fundamental features which are common in different individuals in relation to certain characteristics like the body plan, the symmetry, body symmetry, the nature of coelom, patterns of the digestive system, the circulatory and the reproductive system, right? So now these features are used as the basis of animal classification, right? So we call them animal construction. So based on that, now we will quickly, since we've already done everything in detail, so we will just take a quick revision. The first is the body plan. Now the body plan of different animals shows considerable variation, right? So in the body plan, we talked about the cellular level of organization, where the body is just, it exhibits cells, and like if you talk about unicellular organism, right? So the whole structure, the whole body is made up of just a single cell, right? Then in some organisms we see that there is division of labor, although they are multicellular, but then division of labor is seen in them, right? So then we see a tissue level grade of organization in which a group of cells, they form tissues, and the tissues perform a particular function, right? Then you have the organ level of organization, and then the organ system level of organization, right? Now based on these, the body of all the animals, they fit into one of these categories, right? So we have the first plan as the cell aggregate plan. Now in this plan, the animal body is just an aggregation of cells. Aggregation, just a collection of cells with little or no coordination between the cells, right? So there are no tissues or no organs formed in such organisms. And phylum Porifera, animals belonging to phylum Porifera, sponges, right? They belong to this category. Then we have the blind sac plan, right, where the cells are organized into tissues and they exhibit some division of labor. Now these organisms, that means here we see division of labor in the blind sac plan and tissue level grade of organization, and then we also see that these organisms, they possess a digestive cavity with only a single opening, right? So there is only one opening towards the outside. So for ingestion as well as for egestion, the opening is single. Then the next is the tube within a tube plan. So we talked about this also. This type of body plan is still more complex as the blind sac plan, and the animals exhibit organ system level of organization. So the digestive system is a continuous tube with an opening at each end, anterior end and posterior end. Anterior end would be the mouth and the posterior end would be the anus. So that is the tube within a tube plan, and as the food passes through the alimentary canal, it is digested, it is absorbed, and all higher invertebrates and the vertebrates, they exhibit this kind of a body plan. Next, animal construction, the characteristic that the basis of division of the animal, the next characteristic is the body symmetry, right? So the first we can say characteristic we talked about was the body plan. That means the animals are divided as per the body plan, right? That is the basis of classification. Next basis of classification is the body symmetry. So the general form of an organism is said to be body symmetry, and on the basis of the body symmetry there are three types: asymmetrical, where an animal cannot be divided into two equal halves. Amoeba is an example. The shape keeps on changing. So if on any plane, by any plane it is divided, it will never be divided into two equal halves. So they are known as asymmetrical. Even sponges, right, with profuse branching, even they are asymmetrical. Then comes radial symmetry. In radially symmetrical animals, a cut through the axis of the body at any point, central axis, a cut through any point, right, whether it is vertical, whether it is transverse or oblique, will give two mirror images. They will be divided into two equal half. Mirror images will be formed, right? Okay. So then we come to all the coelantrates, echinodermata, right? All these, they belong to radial symmetry. Then comes the bilateral symmetry. Bilateral symmetry, the organisms, in such organisms the body can be divided into two equal halves in only one plane. Like if we take our example, even we show bilateral symmetry, right? How do we show bilateral symmetry? If our body is divided only in one plane, right, not in any plane as the previous one, radial symmetry. So if our body is divided from the center here vertically, our body will be divided into two mirror images, right? Each part will have one eyes, one nostril, hand, leg, etc., right? So that is what is bilateral symmetry. Next we come to the body cavity or the coelom. What is a coelom? We discussed earlier that coelom is a fluid filled cavity and it is found between the gut and the outer body wall. Gut, I told you, is related to the digestive tract, right? So between the gut and the body wall, the space that is there is filled with a fluid, and this space filled with fluid is known as the coelom, right? So all the internal organs of the animals are suspended in the coelom. The main functions of the coelom is that they act as hydrostatic skeleton and allows a greater flexibility of the body, right? They act as shock absorbers and protects all the internal organs from external shocks because it is filled with fluid, right? It enables activity of the body wall and alimentary canal to operate independently. Body wall is here, alimentary canal is here, they can work independently, right? And then it provides space for the enlargement of internal organs, right? So there's enough space here, all the internal organs can, expand or enlarge when they grow in size. The fluid of the cavity acts as a circulatory medium for the transport of food, waste materials, gases, and has a role even in the osmoregulatory activity of the organisms. So in general, all tissues and organs of an animal, they are formed from three germ layers, right? So ectoderm, mesoderm and endoderm are the three germ layers in the embryo. A true coelom will always arise within the mesoderm, right? Types of coelomatic organisms are known, right? So one is pseudocoelom. Pseudo means false. Now a pseudocoelom arises from the blastocele, that is the hollow space situated in the blastula. Blastula is a stage of the embryonic development, right? It is an early stage of the embryonic development. That means when the embryo divides into cells, they are different, they are marked with different stages. So one of the early stage of the embryo is known as blastula. Now this remains bounded on the outer side by the ectoderm and on the inner side by the endodermal layer. The internal organs, they remain free within the pseudocoelom, and the space between them is filled with large vacuolated mesodermal cells. Now see, why it is a false coelom here is because the space that is there is not filled entirely with the coelomic fluid. It is not a cavity, a true cavity, because in this space there are mesodermal cells with large vacuoles, vacuole filled mesodermal cells, right? So various organs are thus separated and can operate independently here. So mesodermal cells may deform, and this enables the organism to change the body shape, right? So they are vacuolated mesodermal cells that are present. So pseudocoelom is found in nematodes and rotifers. Then comes the true coelom. It originates by a split within the embryonic mesoderm. So this originates from the mesoderm. The cavity of the coelom is bounded, as I told you, by mesodermal layer, by mesodermal cells, or we can say the tissues. And the coelomic cavity, the cavity that is there, is filled with the coelomic fluid. So that's about true coeloms. Then we come to the body development, right? The next basis of classification is the body development, and we talked about the animals being diploblastic and triploblastic. So just now we were talking about the germ layers, right? So an organism having only two germ layers are known as diploblastic organisms, right? So they just have the ectoderm and the endoderm, right? Ectoderm is the outer and endoderm is the innermost layer. So two layers. So these layers remain separated by a gelatinous non-cellular layer called the mesoglia, right? So in between these two layers is a gelatinous non-cellular substance which fills it, and that is known as the mesoglia, right? So these are diploblastic and they remain separated by mesoglia. So here this type of development is seen in the lower metazoans like the coelentrates, right? So the coelentrates are diploblastic organisms. Then the next body development is the triploblastic development, right? So triploblastic having three germ layers, right? So those animals whose body arises from three primary germ layers, that is the ectoderm, the outermost, mesoderm, the middle, and endoderm is the innermost, right? So they are known as triploblastic because they are three germ layers, so they are triploblastic. So all metazoans except the members of the phylum Coelentrata are triploblastic. So we talked about the different phylums, and you must have seen that all the complex phylums are all triploblastic. The organisms belonging to these phylums are all triploblastic, right? Then comes the body segmentation, right? Segmentation, division, is also known as metamerism, right? So that is an architectural body plan in which an organism is built by a series of segments which are known as metameres, right? So now the segments forming an individual are identical in structure, and the organs they contain, that is the individual is formed from rhythmic repetition of the segment. Each segment is identical, right, which are similar both externally from the outside and even internally they would be similar. So the segments work in cooperation. So metamerism is clearly seen in annelids. I gave you the example of earthworm. The body of earthworm is segmented. True metamerism is there, right? And the segmentation is not only superficial from the outside, but it is internally. That means in every segment there is a particular organ that is attached. So even when the organism is small, or when it attains the adult size, those segment number 1 will bear that specific organ, right? So it says here the segments, they work in cooperation, and metamerism is clearly seen in annelids, where most of the main organs of the body are arranged on the metameric plan throughout the length of the body, which is divided into segments, right? Now in arthropods, we talked about arthropods being the largest group of animals, and all the insects, they belong to arthropods. They also show metameric segments, right? They may bear paired appendages, right? Paired appendages, if you remember, they have legs, right? They have wings, and all are paired, right? If 3 legs are on one side, 3 are on the other side, and each would arise from one particular segment, right? Now these are for locomotion, legs. Then they have antenna also, right? So those are sensory in nature. They have feeding parts also, that is the mouth part. So in insects, metameric segments are grouped to form various regions of the body. Now these metameric segments in insects may form the head region, may form the thorax region, the body region, and may form the abdomen region, right? Then we come to tapeworms. If you remember, I told you that these tapeworms, if we look at them, we would see that their body is segmented, it is divided. But what happens is that the segmentation that they show is not true segmentation, right? So that means when the tapeworm increases in size to an adult, the number of segments would increase also. So the body of the tapeworm shows segmentation, but it differs basically from that of annelids, right? So it is different from that of annelids. So since the segmentation is not true, we say that they show pseudo segmentation. They are showing segmentation but false segmentation, non-metameric segmentation, right? So I'll repeat again, in metameric segmentation, the body consists of a number of segments, and the number is constant in a given species. Like for example, in annelids there are only 10 segments. Then all the annelids would have, all the earthworms, if one earthworm has 10 segments, then all the earthworms will have only 10 segments, not 9, not 11, right? So new segments are not added after the body has reached maturity, right? The segmental structures are independent and they are integrated so that individuality of the body is preserved. On the other hand, in non-metamerically segmented organisms, the segments of the body are self-contained units, and new segments may always be formed, right? So after maturity also new segments can be added. So that is false segmentation. Then we come to the next basis of classification, that is cephalization. As I told you, cephalization, cephalos is a word that is related to head, right, or the brain. So specialization of the anterior end to form head is known as cephalization. Now it is due to the formation of structure used in feeding, and concentration of receptors are also present over here, right? So a corresponding concentration of nervous tissue forms the brain. Then we come to the body temperature, and in body temperature we talked about two types of organisms, warm-blooded or homeothermal and cold-blooded or poikilothermal, right? So warm-blooded or homeothermal animals are those animals which whose body temperature remains constant whatever is the change in the environment, right? All mammals are homeothermal, right? Similarly, poikilothermal, they are cold-blooded organisms and their body temperature changes depending upon the change in the temperature of the environment. So they adjust their body temperatures as per the temperature of the environment. So all the invertebrates, fish, amphibians, reptiles, they belong to this category, right? Then we have the body support and protection, right? So now in this we talk about how is the body supported and what is the protection. So in this we studied that there are certain organisms which have an internal skeleton, that is the endoskeleton, and some organisms have shells also present, some have an exoskeleton present, right? So the animals which do not have a hard cover or support for the body are known as soft bodied organisms, right? So while talking about the phylums, we discussed that the organisms belonging to this particular phylum are soft bodies, like the worms, right? So they are called soft bodies. Coelentrates, worms, they belong to this category. And in most of the animals, a hard structure is present in the form of skeleton to support the body. Like for example, if we talk about our body, we have an endoskeleton, a skeleton which is made up of bones that gives structure or shape to our body. It protects many of the internal organs of our body, right? And then it provides support also. So since the skeleton is there, we can walk also, we can sit also, and had there been no skeleton, then all this would not have been possible. So on the basis of the position, the skeleton is of following types. Like the exoskeleton, a skeleton is always present on the outside of the body, right, by a deposition of a hard protective layer on the body. So like the arthropods, insects, I gave you the example of cockroach, right? They have an exoskeleton which is chiefly made up of chitin, right? Then if we move on and talk about mollusks, right? Mollusks have exoskeleton. Mollusks have exoskeleton and they have hard calcareous shell, right, outside the body, right? So that is the exoskeleton of mollusks, right? Then comes the endoskeleton, internal skeleton. In the previous class we were talking about the fish, right, cartilaginous and bony fish, Chondrichthyes and Osteichthyes, right? So Chondrichthyes are cartilaginous fish and Osteichthyes are bony fish, right? So again they are made up of calcium, right? There's other minerals like phosphorus also that are present, right? So if we talk about the functions of the endoskeleton, it provides support, it forms a framework, it protects many organs in our body like the brain, the heart, the lungs are all protected, right? Then comes the presence of notochord, right? So notochord is a rod-like structure. It is derived mesodermally and is dorsal in position, right? It may be present at some time during the life cycle of an individual, right? So those organisms which possess the notochord at any stage during the life cycle, they are known as chordates, and those organisms which do not possess a notochord are known as non-chordates, right? So in the previous class we had discussed that also. And then the last topic is the circulatory system, right? In some organisms the blood flows in closed tubes, right? So in those organisms in which the blood flows in closed tubes, they show closed type of circulatory system, whereas in some organisms the blood flows in spaces in between the cells, right? So those organisms show open type of circulatory system. So that's about all for today's class, and your next class would be a question answer PDF, and in that class I had given you a question on 15th of July. So the question as well as the answer is in that PDF. You are expected to complete that work on the particular day. You will get the PDF. So for that day, your next class is just a PDF class. Please complete